Hello, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Leon.
And today we're going to talk about some video games and technology and some other stuff. So starting off today, I just want to roll this clip. We're going to play this right now.
Let's see.
There exists in this country, sadly, a callous, corrupt, and corrupting shadow industry that sells and stows violence against its own people through vicious, violent video games with names like Bulletstorm, Grand Theft Auto, Mortal Kombat, and Splatterhouse. And here's one. It's called Kindergarten Killers. It's been online for 10 years. How come my research staff can find it and all of yours couldn't or didn't want anyone to know you had found it?
Okay, so
Wow.
that's what went on this week. I don't want to get too deep into politics or anything like that, but it was just, I just want to really make a comment about that little speech. The other day, I get shaky even thinking about this. I was taking my bike out, you know, and I had a flat. So I took the pump out to pump up the tire, and for a split second, I thought I was going to stick the pump into somebody. And this is it right here.
That looks like a deadly weapon to me.
This should not be in my hands. You can buy this in like any store right now, and you know, I must have played too much Dig Dug, and I feel like I have to insert this in somebody and just make them explode. So I need you to take this away from me.
All right.
Like,
All right.
don't want to see it.
Clearly has
it's
to be.
not. I don't feel
way.
comfortable being in my hands. I don't trust myself of using it for the wrong reasons. I haven't yet. So, you know, let's set the record straight. Still, you know, just used it to pump the tire on my bike, but
Clearly your imagination is running away.
yeah, I mean, all this talk about video game influenced, and you know, I'm a big Dig Dug fan, so let's keep it safe, all right? Just that's it. That's all I have to say about this topic, unless you have something to add into it.
No, I mean, I think they've expressed themselves, and it's unfortunate that they have to, you know, link themselves to some terrible tragedy like that. But I'm gonna just leave it as it is.
Okay. So, on a lighter note,
Yeah.
what else do we have going on?
Well, I think there was a recent issue with a game that was being funded on Kickstarter. Now we've all had, you know, various projects that we've been interested in that have sort of crowdsourced their funding by going through Kickstarter, right?
Uh-huh.
But there was one game that it was called Alpha Colony, and their goal was $50,000 to, you know, meet their funding goals for the game, and they fell short by just $28. So, you know, they fell short, and Kickstarter basically said, you didn't meet your goal, you don't get any money. And the money goes back to the people that pledged it.
Wow.
And
So they weren't
they'll
like
have to go forward from there.
willing to say, we'll let it slide. It's $28. Or they couldn't, like, I mean, really shouldn't, like, if you're the person making this project and you know you're short by $28,
Yeah.
shouldn't you just say, I'll just put my $28 in there to make sure it gets funded?
Yeah, I think that was one of the comments that was made about it, and I think their reaction was, well, you know, we did put in some of our own money to start off with.
Oh, they did.
And, you know, we were just down to the wire, and there was a lot going on, and we weren't necessarily watching the counter till like the last minute to see how short we were.
So for the price of a cup of coffee, this game could have been, coffee from Starbucks
Right.
or something.
Maybe.
It could have been
Coffee
funded.
for $4.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this was not their first attempt either. This was
Oh, okay.
They had previously set a much higher goal, and they got over $100,000 on their first attempt. But I guess they set a more modest goal for their second go-round, and they didn't even meet that. So their reaction was, the publisher's reaction was, that, well, we take this as like an indication of what level of interest there is in our title, and maybe there isn't as much as we thought. And it's a good thing that we didn't get the 50,000, because in hindsight, it wouldn't have been enough. They felt like, well, after we
the 50 was
cutting it really short, and
okay.
And maybe they would have preferred to like have like a higher goal in mind. I guess Kickstarter's point of view is, well, by creating a limit and sticking to it, we create create like pressure so we create excitement. We create like a level of hitting milestones, and seeing if more people get interested as the project gets funded. So I guess they don't want to leave it open-ended to say, well, let's just get whatever we can get, and that's what you're going to end up with. I think they do have to stick to that. I think it's probably a good idea. But I guess the other thing is there fatigue going on among the masses for all of these various Kickstarter initiatives? Like, do you think maybe there was a rush of people saying, hey, this is a great idea, I can be part of the development process? So they kicked in a few dollars here and there on different projects, but at this point in the game, maybe they feel, well, all right, maybe I don't need to fund every last game I'm interested in. And you think maybe the curve is flattening out a little bit. What's your impression on that?
Or maybe it's just a reality check that there aren't that many people into some of these games. For instance, I mean, you have Pitfall. That was going to be... They debuted that as a Kickstarter project, I think at the CES. Not CES, the CGE in 2012.
David Crane had a project that...
David Crane was actually there to...
Was, it was alluded to being a Pitfall game, obviously.
Yeah.
Back to the Jungle. He made that sort of...
so you would think, okay...
Reference, yeah.
He's a pretty big name in the industry, and it didn't fell right through. He couldn't fund it. I don't know. I don't know if it's fatigue or it's just... I think some of it's marketing. I think you need a good way to market your product.
Better way to get attention. And
I think so. Because, I mean, you look at stuff like the Ouya and even the Game Doc, and there's a couple of other apps that got funded through Kickstarter. So they're doing something right that other people have not. But as Kickstarter as a company, I think that's a good... I think they need to keep their rules and stick with them.
Yeah.
That all or nothing policy is definitely the way to go. Yeah,
they mentioned that, even if you don't meet your goal, you got a lot of attention out of just getting it out there, and people are more aware of it than before you started, and and you can always try again if you they have that second chance option where you could sort of readjust what your goal is and like try to get it going again. But yeah, I think it's it's definitely a good option for companies that want to raise cash. A lot of times publishers or developers might be a little antsy about starting a project. They don't know necessarily what kind of interest they're going to get, so this is a good way for people to vote directly for the game and decide if it gets made. So I say good for them.
Good for them.
Good for Kickstarter for sticking to it, and for making that whole structure available in the first place. It's certainly going to help out a lot of projects that might not have seen the light of day otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for the independent artist and even some companies who are using it.
Right. So Steam, the digital distribution platform predominantly on PC, but also available on the Mac. And even on the PS3 somehow.
Really?
Yeah. Not very much used, but it was there for I think for Portal or Portal 2 maybe. But yeah, definitely it's pretty big in the PC space. A lot of people love to buy games on Steam, and they recently announced an initiative to get Steam onto a living room setting, away from the PC and more into your hooked up to your TV. So they there was really two things to it, right? There was a move from Valve, the company that's behind it, to create an actual PC that can be hooked up to your TV and is capable enough to play the various games that are being offered. And at the same time, they revamped their interface in the client to what they call Big Picture, which is more of a 10-foot interface, what you can use from your sofa. Large icons, easy to browse, and let you play your games from the comfort of your living room. So what do you think so far? So
Steam is looking to take on Xbox,
sure.
PlayStation 3.
Yeah, why not?
I have Steam. I'm a Mac user, so I don't typically play games on my Mac. I'm not that into computer gaming, but I do have Steam, and I have a couple of games just because I like to try out everything.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people who love Steam, so I don't see a whole bunch of games on there that I would play, but it seems like a pretty cool thing. I like it, and when I heard about this, I was pretty excited. It sounded like a really good idea.
Yeah, certainly. It's, I mean, they've got a big established community already. Over 20 million accounts created. 20 million. Allegedly. Maybe they're not all one-to-one.
Unique users.
They might not be all unique. But whenever I log into Steam, I see between 2 to 4 million people active at any given moment. So that's a pretty big user base.
Yeah.
I have my own friends list. It comes with all the things that you would expect from an online infrastructure in terms of, being able to distribute titles. You can buy games through it directly. There's, friends lists, there's achievements, there's cloud saves that you can, save your game and it'll get stored on the servers rather than your PC. So you can walk from one PC, go to another, log in there, and all your games are available and all of your saves are also there. So you could resume anywhere. It also, supports the 360 controller. You can plug it in and a lot of the games will recognize that you have a gamepad hooked up and will adjust to that. But I think it's got the best shot in terms of competing with one of the console services. Now, why would you want that, right? Why do you even bother? Because if you can buy a $300 Xbox, why do you need a PC in your living room? But I guess, a lot of people do already have that established library. There's frequent sales on Steam games right now during the holiday season.
So how do you feel about owning a digital copy but not a physical?
Yeah. Well, there's pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
Personally, I like, having access to a dashboard where I can see all my games and I could launch any of them on a whim. I don't have to get up and find the disc and put it in. That eliminates being able to resell the game down the road, but I figure if I've picked up these games for so cheap, $5 to $10 for major titles, that's fine. It's not a $60 investment, although you can buy brand new games on Steam as well. That's another advantage, I think. If a game is coming out on Tuesday, the latest Modern Warfare or whatever floats your boat, rather than go to GameStop or wherever for a midnight launch, you could pre-buy the game on Steam. And it'll download the game files beforehand, and then 12:01 you can unlock the game and play it right on the spot.
Wow!
You don't have to, stand out in the cold, or worry about getting your copy.
Isn't that part of the fun, standing out in the cold?
For some, I'm sure for some,
it's a thrill.
Yeah, but if you got work the next day, I'm sure you'd rather play a little while and then hit the sack.
We gave it a test run, and I thought it was pretty good. I think that the interface needs a little bit of sorting out. It seems a little like beta, but I think it has potential. When we plugged in the Xbox controller
into
my Mac, yeah, we tested on my Mac, and it actually, I don't know if it's programmed to know it's an Xbox but the controller buttons,
all the icons
were represented just like the Xbox controller, which was kind of a nice touch.
The way it would look like in an Xbox game.
Yeah.
They're colored the right way, and they look the same as what it looks like on the controller.
Yeah, we did a couple of game tests. Mm-hmm. Controller was fine. It let you map it out to whatever you wanted it to be. You know, we ran into a couple of hiccups too. So wasn't perfect, but...
Yeah, a little, you know, browsing wasn't as supernatural as you would expect. Not supernatural as in a Ghost, but it's not as natural as you would expect just using a mouse and a keyboard to navigate. Yeah, I think when we went into the store section, we wanted to be able to filter by Mac games just to see if we could, you know, only see games that you could download on your Mac. And we weren't able to do that. Maybe there is a way, but we didn't see it, like, out of the box.
So basically they're saying right now you can take advantage of this and you just basically plug your computer into your HDMI port on your TV. But they do plan on coming out with, I guess, some kind of box, which is...
Yeah, something that is capable enough. I mean, that's always been part of the issue with the PC, right? Is that, you know, you have to build your own computer. It's a lot more expensive than a console. Between $500 to $700, you can get a pretty decent machine. Now, we don't know what Valve is what kind of pricing they're gonna set for the box that they're looking to put out. But it'll be interesting to see what they settle on.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be anticipating that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it. I mean, I always have a decent gaming PC, so I don't know if it's the right product for me, but I'll definitely be interested to see what they ultimately settle on.
I'm kind of interested. I have a pretty good Mac, but I don't think it's good for video games. Like, it's not a good video card. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I heard that you brought something today. Part of your loot.
Yes.
So what does Leon's loot involve?
Well, I guess we're going to go further down the console rabbit hole. Last time we talked about an early Sega console, and now we're going to go a little more obscure. What I've got here is the Bandai Playdia.
What? What is with those colors?
It's a little radical, right?
That is definitely MC Hammer Vanilla Ice era.
Yeah.
It's crisscross.
Well, it's a neat little console. I think it's CD-ROM based. This came out in 1994.
Okay.
So right around that era when, you know, before the 32-bit explosion and, you know, when multimedia CD-ROM consoles were kind of happening. Comes with a wireless controller, but it's infrared.
Wow, that's very ergonomic.
It's infrared, so you have to aim it at the console, at the sensor. Yeah, it's like a remote control for your TV. But most of these titles that were produced for this one, I think there were only about 30 titles created. They all came from Bandai, which you may know the name. Bandai is like a big toy producer in Japan. They own the licenses for a lot of you know, pretty well-known properties. You know, things like Ultraman and, you know, things that are popular in Japan.
Power Ranger. I always associated them with kind of like the junky toys.
Yeah. Well,
but they have been around a long time, and they have produced quite a bit.
Quite a lot. And this isn't even their first game console.
No.
They had a you know, like an 8-bit computer before that, based on well, it was called the RX-78, which was a Gundam reference.
What was the Apple Pippin? Was that Bandai?
That's the funny thing. Yeah, Bandai did work with Apple to create a game console that came out less than 6 months after this was introduced.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that reflects their commitment to this platform. I think it was just a different demographic that they were aiming for. This is primarily a kids console.
Okay.
So it was really all the games that were made for this were pretty much, you know, like educational and toy tie-in titles made mostly for kids under the age of 10.
Those, like the common day equivalent would be the VTech.
Probably pretty close.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, there were like Dragon Ball games and Sailor Moon games and
which
Ultraman.
Are pretty big titles, especially for Japan.
Yeah, sure. But they were mostly, you know, FMV sequences where you made a simple choice and then it would play another video clip. So there was really not a whole lot of gameplay to them. Okay. But I think it was just a curiosity for me. I wanted to get one because...
yeah, I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's an interesting little toy. It's pretty cheap. I don't think it's particularly collectible. I think at the time that I bought it, it was maybe only about $60. But then, you know, I had to pay for shipping from Japan, so that added some cost to it. And
Oh, it has
think
HDMI out.
I think that's the power cord you're looking at.
Oh, okay.
It's even now, I doubt it's more than $100. It's probably not, hard to find either.
All right, controller review.
But we'll show off some of the games and,
Well, it's interesting. You can actually control the CD player from this.
Yeah, it's...
So rather than having like up, down, left, right, they have forward, play, stop.
It's very appropriate for the type of games that were made for it. They all came from Bandai themselves. There were no third-party publishers for the system.
Yeah.
So there you have it. And then, the PlayStation came a year later and kind of made...
Really? So people
all
chose the
these ridiculous games.
PlayStation over this?
PlayStation was huge, right?
But this is Bandai.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it.
I'm impressed.
Exciting.
So we'll get to
Maybe
demo
not.
some of these games, maybe?
Yeah, we'll show some clips.
Yeah, can we play 2-player? I only see one controller.
Yeah, I think that's it. You can do all the demoing.
What about the color? Did it come in colors?
This was it.
This fancy
This
aquamarine,
this indigo,
soundwave blue color, or whatever it is.
indigo green combination.
That's cool. I mean, I like all these oddball systems.
Yeah. But since it is the holiday season, I think there was a question that we wanted to tackle.
We did have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Unrelated to is it Playdia? Playdia. Or is it Playdia?
Playdia.
Okay, Playdia.
Bandai Playdia.
Okay,
Yeah, we should have probably introduced the name of the system.
Playdia. Okay, so I did think of a question, and kind of simple, probably you've heard it before, but what is your most memorable Christmas gift? Now, it could be anything. It could be that great pair of socks that would keep you warm in the winter, and you had them for like 10 years. You kind of like, was with you your whole life. And
Right.
it could be the fruitcake that your Nana brought over that time. Remember that?
I think I forgot that one already.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not very memorable.
No.
Well, I guess we're going to keep it gaming related, right? Going to probably try to stay
You
on
don't
target.
have to, but if you want to, sure.
I'm going to also.
Okay.
Well, do you want me to answer first? Okay, I will.
I have a long story, so.
I'm going to keep it short.
Okay.
My most memorable is probably my only gaming related gift when I first got my 2600, which was probably, I think, Christmas, I'm going to say 79 was probably.
Also, when it first came out?
Well,
Was
yeah.
that the initial release?
I think it was probably 77, right? For a lot of people. Well, I knew that a lot of my friends already had it. Then that's why I wanted it. So I was playing
So you didn't
it.
have the heavy sixer?
I think I did. I did.
So I think that was the first run.
Yeah, maybe so. But it was a close call for me because I know that my dad's friend at the time was had seen the Odyssey 2. And he thought that he thought that maybe the Odyssey 2 would have been a better gift because it had the computer keyboard, and he thought that it must be more advanced because it's like a computer. It's got the keyboard.
And it was from Magnavox.
Yeah,
who heard of Atari back then?
It's
Magnavox was an established name.
They were well known. Yeah, they made a lot of TVs and other stuff. So that was close. I almost got an Odyssey 2 instead, but
darn.
Now I can appreciate the Odyssey 2 for what it was. But at the time, I wanted a 2600.
Casey Munchkin, man.
I wanted a VCS because that's the game system that I had played, and all my friends.
I know who didn't want. It just exploded back then.
So yeah, that was exciting to finally get one. So that was.
Did you get any games with it? Combat?
Yeah,
I think that was the pack in back then.
I had the combat pack in, and I think I probably got a couple of games too. Some early stuff, Air Sea Battle, stuff like that.
Basic math.
No,
no,
I was
Codebreaker.
spared. I was spared basic math.
Programming.
Yeah.
All those wonderful 3D tic-tac-toe. Video checkers. No,
maybe Skydiver. I think that was.
Skydiver was fun. Cannonball was good.
Those are the lesser known games.
Flag capture.
No. Didn't have that one.
Okay. Did you get the paddles with it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very important if you want to play, Video Olympics. I think that was...
Do you still have it?
No, I ended up trading that one off.
Darn.
I ended up trading off my 2600 with my 30 or so games so I can buy an Atari 400 computer. That was the trade-off there.
So you bought the Atari 400 even though it was a lower number than the 2600?
Yeah, I was not fooled by that.
You weren't fooled, okay.
Nope. I knew that I was upgrading by doing that.
Okay.
Yep. But how about you? What was your...
All right, so for me...
What was your big memory?
It was the Sega Genesis.
Mm.
And I'll tell you why. So the Sears catalog came, and I think it had like a big spread for Sega Genesis that year.
I love looking at those catalogs.
I did too. So of course, I cut it out, and I had it next to my bed on the wall. So when I went to sleep at night, I could see the Sega Genesis and all the games. This is how crazy I was.
It'll make it more possible if you keep it close.
Yes. So, of course, my parents, knowing that I wanted it, they bought me the Sega Genesis. But what they would do is hide the presents. And I knew where they hid the presents.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I would do is I would come home, when I would come home from school, my parents would be at work. And I had it down to a science. I knew what time they would come home. And I would sneak into the closet where they kept all the presents.
Uh-huh.
I would take out the Genesis and hook it up and play it. And, I only had Altered Beast because that came unwrapped. The other games were sealed.
Mm-hmm.
But I would hook up and play it. And then when I knew they were going to come home, I would box it back up and put it back in the closet.
Wow.
And I did that a couple of times.
This went on for a while before. Before Christmas, even.
Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So
you knew.
That's how bad I wanted it.
Uh-huh. So it wasn't gift wrapped then. It wasn't.
No, well, yeah, it was just like in a Toys R Us bag.
Hmm.
And
maybe that was the flaw in their plan. Trying to keep it hidden from you.
It doesn't work. You can't hide anything from me. But then I got it for Christmas. I was still excited because I wanted this game so bad, and they got me like a ton of games that year. So, that was good times.
Fun.
It was fun. Yeah, that's my most memorable Christmas gift.
Awesome.
Yep. So finally, we have a review for Bit.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it first. And it's actually a big story this year because it's the last issue of Nintendo Power. The last, 12 years later, Nintendo Power. I didn't even know it was still around, but apparently it is.
But since it is the last.
It is the last one.
It's more momentous now.
So I had a hard time finding this. I checked a ton of stores.
Yeah, even I checked, and they were sold out.
And not only, like, magazine stores kind of don't exist anymore, that even if they did exist, they don't carry Nintendo Power. I don't even know what it is. Half of the people don't even speak English who work in these stores. So...
it is a foreign word.
Yeah.
So... But anyway, yeah.
So, in this modern era we live in, I figured, let's buy it online. We'll just order it. So I go to the website, and it was from Future Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered a couple of issues, and they were actually sold out of the magazine only, of the subscription only, which didn't have the barcode on it.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of the better issue, but, the newsstand version you could buy. So I ordered a couple of them. And so I figured, okay, we'll get it in a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of days go by. I see it's still available. I never got my shipping. And I'll cut the story short and just say that they never contacted me or anything. So I wrote them for Christmas. And I said, well, it's like 3 weeks later and still no magazines. And, they respond to me a couple of days later. And they say... Oh, yeah, we're sold out on that magazine. We were never planning on filling that order. Of course, they weren't going to let me know, but...
Would have been nice to let you know.
It would have been nice to inform me. So fortunately, I had a backup plan way before when I first ordered these. I was still looking for it, and I was in a Target one day, and they had a couple of issues, so...
At the Target store.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is the big issue. One of the reasons why I did want it kind of badly was because I have issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
And issue 1 looks just like this issue. They kind of made like a modern interpretation of it.
So this is a tribute cover.
It's a tribute cover, and I thought it was pretty well done.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. And I was also curious because I honestly didn't know that Nintendo Power was still publishing. So I was like, what are they possibly talking about?
Right.
But so this issue is probably not a good representation of Nintendo Power this year.
Mostly,
it's
just
mostly like a look
reflection.
back. Yeah, it's they talk about their top 300 games, is it, or the top 200? Let's see exactly. The top 285 games
Mm-hmm.
of
Kind
all
of an
time.
arbitrary number.
Yeah, I don't know where they came up with that, but maybe they ran out of space when they were laying out the text in Quark.
Why choose? Just put them all in there. All
Yeah.
285 of them.
So, but this is Nintendo Power's all-time favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So
Their
you're not
staff,
going to
I
get
suppose.
maybe an honest fan. Like, I disagree with a lot of these choices.
Their
but-
placement in the list.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Or even their place on the list at all.
I mean, just for a quick example, Donkey Kong is 284 out of 285.
Yeah.
That sums it up.
That's
right there.
crazy.
And it comes after Nintendogs and Killer 7.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I never bought the magazine personally. The whole NES era kind of passed me by. I was into computer gaming at the time, so I wasn't never really a console gamer until the Genesis came out. The period between the 2600 and the Genesis was kind of like my computer. I was computer focused, so I wasn't really paying attention to the NES or the Master System or anything else at that time. So I was never part of the Nintendo Power fan club or that whole generation. I didn't read it growing up, but it also was very platform specific.
Yes.
So I kind of like gaming news and reviews to be like all inclusive. I like to see everything that's going on out there.
Well, that's what I felt after the first year. I felt like the reviews were a little too skewed, and I kind of felt like every game was good on the Nintendo. Like they were afraid to give anything a bad review.
Right, yeah, that's the other thing. Like I didn't know if it was an actual independent magazine or if it was produced by Nintendo and used as just a sort of a promotional magazine to promote their own games.
They claim it's the source for Nintendo players straight from the pros.
Okay. That may well be what it was. I guess in this era of,
You can kind of take it or leave it.
I mean, a lot of magazines are kind of going digital or going online only, I guess, because that's where it's the quicker turnaround and lower costs, and that's how people are used to consuming a lot of their news these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, one less gaming magazine on the stands. It's a little sad in that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, this held, a little soft spot in a lot of people's hearts who were Nintendo fans. The whole Howard Phillips and Nestor and everything, which they do a nice tribute for, which I don't want to spoil too much in case you do want to track this down. It's kind of nice little surprises in here.
I also find it odd that, right on the eve of the launch of a new Nintendo console, the Wii U, you would think there would be a reason for the magazine to continue. But I guess the realities of the publishing business are really that severe.
I mean, the ads on it in this book are really, like, pathetic. There's really no ads at all to support. And that's, I think, the biggest problem with the print media these days is no one wants to advertise. I mean, Omaha Steaks is advertising in
Gotta have your
Nintendo
protein.
Power. You do. You gotta have a steak and play some Mario
All night.
all night.
You need it.
So, I don't know. What do you think? I think it's worth tracking down. I don't know if I'd pay like $50 or whatever it might be going for on eBay.
Yeah, I guess it might be a collector's item for some because it's the last issue. But I guess if you really were a fan, you would have had a subscription and you would have been getting it every month anyway. But yeah, it's a nice sort of bookend to the history of the run.
Yeah.
Some interesting items there.
This sums it up right here on the back. Tank, tank, tank. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
It's a brand new Wii game.
A brand new Wii game.
Wii U.
And
yeah.
boy, did they put a lot of work into that ad.
Yeah, it apparently did not get a good review in this very issue. They did have a
so
review
not
of this
only
game.
did they, one of the few advertisers that invested the money, but Nintendo felt they had the integrity to give this an honest review and trash it.
It's I guess it might be too late to find one now, but I guess if you know of any newsstands in your area that carry it that aren't well trafficked, you might be able to still get one.
And you get this awesome poster. This poster, I have to show it. It shows every magazine cover. Every magazine cover.
It's neat.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
There's some interesting ones in there, but you can't see too much.
Yeah, they're like smaller than a postage stamp. But
really, pretty tiny.
Pretty cool. I mean, they could have just said you don't get anything because it's the last issue.
Right.
We're not gonna give a crap. We're out of a job.
They're sending it off in style.
Yeah, it was nice. I think. Well, it's not what I think. It's what Bit thinks.
Let's find out.
So should we?
Let's find out if Bit is going to get the last issue of Nintendo Power, because Bit's all digital these days. I don't know if it's going to want a paper magazine.
Paper, I mean.
But let's find out. So Bit, what do you think?
All right, Bit, you're in the spotlight once again.
Are you down for Nintendo Power? Are you in for the magazine? Are you going to get it?
Wow. Okay.
Huh. Maybe Bit is more of a collector than we thought.
Bit might have emailed me too at the same time.
He's putting in his order on the website. It's not going to get through though.
Not really sure how that works. I didn't know Bit had the ability to do that, but
Gonna have to get an issue, save an issue for Bit as well.
yeah. Don't worry, Bit. I'll take care of you. You're always in my mind. See. All right, so that wraps up another week or two.
Yeah, I think so.
And
yeah, we were a little slow for the holidays.
We're a little slow, yeah. We're eating too much, so too much fat on the brain. But remember to subscribe and share and be good to everybody.
Yeah, have a great New Year too.
Crap and New Year, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
What's wrong?
I'm so happy.
Wait, look at me. You're so happy that you're crying?
Look.
Tang, tang, tang.